Hey, Jordan here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about how to photograph flowers, and I've got this beautiful arrangement from He Loves Me Flowers, a shoot that I did with her yesterday. Some of the flowers are a little droopy because they've been out and they've been working hard for the last like 48, 36 hours. That's not gonna stop us from talking about flowers. And also they smell so good. If you're ready to get started, hit the like button below. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Jordan Britley, and it is so good to have you here. Consider subscribing if you wanna see more videos just like this. Tip number 1 is to find the movement in the arrangement. If you'll look, it looks like the arrangement does this. And these have obviously grown overnight, so they were a little shorter at the beginning, but it moves like this. These are popping out a little bit more. We've got this that creates movement. Any of that movement we really want to capture and focus in on because the artist did that intentionally, and we should showcase that. Next, I always try to get a shot where the entire frame is just the arrangement. Cropped in so it's just all flowers, and I like to focus on the flower that's the closest. So if I was going right here, I would focus in on this beautiful flower just like that, and then get in really close, maybe even point it. You see how nice that looks? We're getting the movement, it's creating interest. Yeah, it just looks really good. Tip number 3 is to get in close and photograph a detail that you don't initially see. When you look at this bouquet, you see all these big blooms, you see, how big it is, how tall it is. Those are kind of your first impressions. Then get in close and photograph these frosted dried flowers, all those little details that come out, focus in on them, shoot it wide open so that the rest of the bouquet is all blurred out. Tip number 4 is to crop the arrangement left, right, top, and bottom. You want to photograph it so that all of this is in the frame. You want to photograph it so that, cut it right here, all of this in the frame, or even cut it straight across. Go up like a piece of cake. We're just cutting it. And then obviously on the side, photograph here, and on the side, photograph there. When you're cropping it, you can either go with a really clear background, really simple, or you can bring in some elements, maybe add some textures in the background. Maybe you, instead of cropping out, like yesterday at the shoot, we had this woven rug at the end of the shoot that was actually part of the venue. It didn't necessarily fit the shoot, but it was all blurred out, and the texture that it created was really nice. I also love to photograph it with a hand or a sleeve if it's a bouquet, or if it's an arrangement like this. Tip number 5 is to bring it into the edge of whatever else it is that you're shooting. Let's say you're shooting a dinner plate with a menu, silverware, all you've got, the whole shebang. If you're photographing a table, you could actually bring the centerpiece over in front of the plate, photograph it that way, bring it to the side, bring it over here. I love doing that, especially when the florist or the planner are still there. They can manage that part, make sure nothing happens to the bouquet, make sure it doesn't get set on fire. Just focus on photographing the bouquet. Tip number 6 is to clear the clutter if needed to get a really clean, crisp shot of the bouquet. If you have salt and pepper on the table, butter, whatever, pull all of that out. Even if you're working an inspiration shoot or something where there isn't that extra clutter, once you take a photo, it sometimes looks different than it does in real life. There are things that are distracting in the photo, and so eliminating those, pulling them out, you don't want to mess up the vision of the whole thing, but moving those front and back, that way the focus is really on the arrangement. You really want a statement image that you can deliver to the florist or planner, and it's just a good portfolio piece. Number 7 is to underexpose. Obviously whites can blow out really fast, but the reds can also blow out really fast too. And then you can always bring it up in post, bring up your exposure. You can add more contrast, mess with the coloring, things like that. But once it's overexposed, even on raw, when it's overexposed that much, sometimes you just can't get it back. So underexpose whenever it comes to flowers. Tip number 8, look for color contrast in the bouquet. Even in a bouquet like this, where we've got a very simple color scheme, nothing too wild, still different tones. So we have different tones of whites. So this one has a little bit more yellow in it. Photographing that, keeping that in mind, and how the color contrast plays into the movement of the image, being able to put those two things together in an image that creates like a very strong image for your brand. Next thing, and I don't know what to call this because it's different than just looking for the movement in the image and trying to photograph that, but look for movement contrast. So for instance, and remember these flowers were a lot shorter yesterday, so they're probably like right here. So we've got movement contrast where this is coming out and this is going up. Anything like that looks really great on camera. See right there, it's coming into the frame like that. So photographing it from the side, you don't even have to photograph the tip here, just photograph this flower and then let this come into the frame. Don't cut it awkwardly, don't crop it awkwardly in camera. Tucked in, hold on, let me see if I can tuck him in. And then you've got this curving in your frame, you're shooting vertically. Tip 10, shoot narrow and shoot wide. Obviously, we all love those photos with a ton of blur, you're shooting wide open, where you're shooting at 1.6, 1.8, 2.0. Those shots are completely gorgeous, totally needed in the gallery, but don't forget to narrow your aperture, and shoot at something like 4.0. So when you're focusing, keep it in the front and then let the background be blurred, but all the flowers are nice and sharp at 4.0, or even bring it up to 8.0 or something like that. Bonus tip, watch where you're focusing. So don't just center up your focus in your camera and focus randomly on the bouquet. You want to be really specific. You're photographing this bouquet. This flower right here is the one that comes out the furthest. And when you're taking a statement shot, you really want to keep your focus right here, or you can rotate it so that these pieces are at the front of the frame. Focus on those, let everything else kind of blur out. But you wouldn't want to, accidentally miss your focus and focus back here. That's just it's not gonna be your best shot, and we want your best shot. And when you're trying to decide what to focus on, think about the movement, think about the color, think about, what the artist was doing, like what's the intent of the arrangement? Where did they want your eye to go? Ask yourself those questions, and over time, it'll be second nature. You'll just shoot amazing photos of florals. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when I post new videos. Thank you so much for watching. This was a fun video. I so wish you could smell this. It smells. And put your work out into the world, share it with the world, because only you can see the world the way that you do, and we need more of that in this world. And I am cheering you on. That was really cheesy. And I am cheering you on. I'll see you in the next video.